Welcome back. A few months ago, Chase and I started a conversation about the rise of autonomous weapons, that is, tools of war that are engaged with little or no human intervention. With the dawn of autonomous vehicles and the military's role in nurturing the industry during its infancy some 15 years ago, it was only a matter of time until society was going to have to be confronted with these kinds of questions. And boy, we got questions. So I thought it would be reasonable to reopen Pandora's box and dive back in. And before I go any further, I want to put a name on your mind. Because if we successfully navigate this, if we are successful in somehow putting some controls, some oversight, some checks and balances on the deployment of this kind of stuff, it will be because of a woman by the name of Mary Wareham. Mary Wareham. I want you to remember that name. She is the coordinator of the Campaign to Stop Killer Robots, and her daytime job is with the Human Rights Watch in Washington, D.C. So, the question, can computer algorithms learn to fight wars ethically? Well, first of all, you've got to make the assumption that war is ethical. And I got a problem with that, but that's not for this time, because that alone would take the whole rest of the show, let alone this segment.
Mostly not many are, though.
I'm trying to think of when, other than retaliation, when are they ever?
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Mary Wareham's core argument, and what worries her, is that machines lack compassion and can't sort through difficult ethical alternatives. Using them to kill crosses a moral threshold. Machines, she argues, can't judge whether their actions create a justifiably proportional risk to civilians, a key requirement in international law. And, she adds, a widespread embrace of such machines could make wars more likely, not less, as robots might make tragic mistakes and it wouldn't be clear who should be held responsible. Basically, this is the groundwork for every society scary movie you've ever seen.
Well, it's like that reminded me of the autonomous discussion we've had with autonomous vehicles too. If autonomous vehicle gets into a crash, who is held responsible? Is it the person in the vehicle that's in the driver's seat still? Or is it the person who made the autonomous vehicle? Is it the company that made the autonomous vehicle?
Is it the software engineer who designed the software?
Yeah.
The algorithms they chose to use?
Yeah.
The machine learning that taught it how to respond in a given situation? It's deep.
Yeah.
But getting back to this, and the same issue, who should be held responsible? The person who launched the weapon, the weapon's designer, the builder? Think about this. A public opinion poll campaign this past December found a majority opposition to the development of AI weapons in 26 out of the 28 nations surveyed, including the United States, Russia, and China. And I want to skip to something that scared me half to death about this. And I'm going to skip to it and I'm going to cycle back because it's something that I read it and it just gave me chills, and not in a good way. The Defense Department is asked for 2021, $841 million to spend on artificial intelligence, including weapons development this year. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, better known as DARPA, the folks who actually had the first competitions back about 15 years ago to promote the development and competition to develop an autonomous vehicle, by the way. Them folks. A key birthplace of advanced military technologies, they plan to spend $2 billion on AI over 5 years, ending in 2023, not starting. So there's that. But here's the thing.
What, the draft treaty? I found that pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
No draft treaty is presented to the United Nations unless all 125 member countries consent. So far, only 30 nations have said they agree. While the United States, Russia, Israel, which are investing in deeply in AI weaponry, have refused, China, who a lot of people want to scare you about all the time, has chaotically supported a ban on the use.
But not.
Well, yeah, they're not stupid. Not the development.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But here's the part that scared me.
We can't even act like,
Here's the part that scared me, though. Really scared me. A fella by the name of Will Roper, who ran the weapons buying for the Air Force over the last 4 years and was one of the Pentagon's chief AI evangelists. This is what he believes. Military planners have to move ahead with testing AI, even if there are many unknowns, because the United States competitors are rapidly advancing their own abilities. Direct quote. I fear our lack of keeping up, he said during a roundtable with reporters shortly after the spy plane test we talked about a couple months ago. I don't fear us losing our ethical standards, our moral standards. And then he said, it is better to let the AI start learning and doing because it's a living, breathing system, very much like a human, just silicon-based. And I ask, at what cost and what will be the rules of engagement, and who will determine those rules of engagement?
Yeah, because I'm all about for it learning and us learning and figuring things out. But using that line that, first of all, I bet we've put more than the other countries. And I feel like we've used that line for nuclear capabilities too. And yet our stockpile, nobody comes close to our stockpile really of nukes. Yet we've used that same justification that the other countries, they're coming, they're getting closer and closer.
Let me come around. The article also talked about how machines, when you program them, you can program them not to lose, which means the machines will cheat and take the most direct way to win at all costs.
Yeah.
And they will change the rules. There are unintended consequences for the programming, that it goes in directions you don't expect.
Yeah.
It does not consider all the other values that we have.
I was going to slaughter this, but there's something about like having it take down a tree, but then all of a sudden it starts taking down all the trees and you can't stop it. Now, I'm not exact on that, but it was just how you can word things and how you can tell it to do things. Like you said, it can sometimes go, like I say, a way you didn't expect because it doesn't know what's ethical, what's moral.
And the question is, so what's the check and balance? What are the terms of engagement? How will this stuff be used in the real world? The one thing that this other fella said, that's military, and I don't have his name. Lieutenant General Jack Shanahan. He is the first director of the Pentagon's Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. He said, and I quote, and this is 2 years ago, he summarized what AI warfare would look like, speaking at a government-sponsored conference. Quote, we are going to be shocked by the speed, the chaos, the bloodiness, and the friction of a future fight in which this will be playing out in microseconds at times.
Yeah.
Unquote. People, we're getting to a point where we are converging autonomous technology and vehicles. And you knew that at some point, if DARPA put their money into it, they were looking for a return. And with the millions, if not billions of dollars the government is spending, all we're saying is, yes, defense of the United States of America is tantamount. And you got to do it, but at what price?